disclaimer. Shannon had a complete voice yesterday at this time, and then suddenly and inexplicably had none. So she hasn't spoken today yet. So we're going to give it a go, and she said, I'm just going to do it at night. I'm going to talk as loud as I can, push the mic as high as it'll go, and we'll just see how it works. So if everybody could just like freeze and lean in, we're going to listen about re-enrollment, because I believe that's an option for tonight, as well as retention.
And I am really enjoying my new role as Director of Admissions, and getting to tell the story of LCA to prospective families is one of my favorite things to do. We have some of our prospective families here tonight, so if you see them walking around with name tags, know that those are prospective families, and you can give your viewpoint to them, and then want to ask you some questions. But you know, historically, our retention rates have been very high, in the 90th percentile or higher. This past year, we had 97% enrollment in upper school and 95% re-enrollment school-wide. So I think that really speaks to the fact that what we're saying up here isn't just lip service, it's actually happening, and our students are learning what we say we're setting out to teach them, and that our parents really are experiencing the goodness of God through our faculty and staff and through what we're doing. So we expect that re-enrollment number to be very high again this year, the same kind of re-enrollment that we've experienced in the past. So tonight begins the re-enrollment period. That period runs through February 13th, but you can go ahead and re-enroll tonight. If you re-enroll tonight, you'll get your name in the drawing for $250 credit on your account. You can spend however you wish if your name is drawn for that. And really our motivation for doing that is it helps our staff tremendously to be able to plan for next year, the sooner that we know how many students there are going to be. We have literally dozens of applications already turned in for next year, and students waiting. We do fully expect in at least 3 or 4 of the grades that we will have wait lists very, very soon, even maybe just shortly after that February 13th deadline. So you can re-enroll until February 13th, but we'd love for you to do it tonight. If you re-enroll by February 13th, you get the discounted re-enrollment rate of $250 instead of $300, which is what it will increase to after that day. But we're really looking forward to that time tonight. I do want to make it clear that re-enrollment is a 3-step process for tonight. You'll go back to the kiosks in the back and fill out your re-enrollment forms. That takes 2 or 3 minutes. You can also do it on a laptop if you brought a laptop tonight. And the link for that is in the brochure that you have. Then you'll go get your contract printed at the front desk here in the lodge, and then you'll go pay your re-enrollment fee out front. So until you've done all 3 steps of that, you're not re-enrolled. So make sure you don't just stop at filling out the forms or just stop at paying, because it's a process that you need to finish all the way through.
And all of that information is in that card that's inside the program that you got. The reason for that card is because there are questions that you have to answer. I think it's A through G. And so this gives you the opportunity to go ahead and read the questions and know what they're going to say, so that when you get back to the kiosk, you don't have to spend time reading and trying to figure out what all those questions say. You can just know yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, whatever your answer is on those questions. So Doug, Mr. Moneybags. So as the CFO, you get the $1 million question of the night, which is, will there be a tuition increase, and what can our families expect for 2015-16?
Well, thank you. The good news is it will not be $1 million tuition. But in all seriousness, you know, I've done this long enough to know and recognize that this time of year creates anxiety for a lot of families, particularly families with multiple children, because we recognize that any amount of increase we say is a burden on that family. And so it's a real balance for us, because we feel very strongly that our responsibility is to ensure the strength of this school. And so when the kindergartner enrolls and is learning for the first time that God has a plan and a purpose for their life, and the middle schooler who's going through, you know, identity issues and friend issues and trying to figure out their way, and the high school student who is a blink of an eye away from moving out of your house, when we have an opportunity to pour into their lives and know that they will walk across the stage here one day and receive a diploma, and we've been able to teach truth to them from a biblical worldview and make an impact on who they are and who God says they are. That is really important to us, to know that that is going to happen. You know, it's interesting because the reality of strength of schools becomes real clear and has become real clear to us here recently. There's been an announcement of a school in our community that is closing. We've received a number of calls from families from the school looking for a place for their children. Another school in our community has announced a $1,000 increase in tuition. That's significant. We have really held to a model that says, you know what can we do to look at the goals and the objectives for the upcoming school year, try to figure out where are we going to hit on enrollment, and set a tuition at a rate that enables us to accomplish those goals without making this a school that only wealthy families can afford. It's been a real balance. And we've really settled in a mode of about a $350 increase is what we have set, really for the past 10 years. It's what we're going to set for next year. It really breaks down to about a $30 a month increase, or about $1 a day. But that model has proven successful to us. At that rate of increase, we can establish a very sound and strong academic institution that's going to be here not just tomorrow, but 50 years from now, to enable us to pour into the lives of these children and make an impact on them.
And it's important for you to know, if you have multiple children, as we do, and you're going, and trying to do the math, there are worksheets in the back, if you do re-enroll tonight, that give you exactly what that would look like for the number of children that you have, and so that you don't have to try and figure all that out on the fly. So those worksheets are provided for you in the back. Doug, I know every time I hear you tell a story of LCA to a family or to anyone in the community, the thing that you highlight as one of the hallmarks that makes this a strong academic institution is the involvement of our parents and that ownership mentality that they have. How have you seen that play out outside of the academic realm?
It really is the one thing that really, I believe, differentiates us in the market and makes us a very unique school. We have families that have grasped the concept that God has gifted them with either talents or abilities or finances. That those gifts and finances and abilities aren't to build their own personal kingdom, but they're to make an impact in God's kingdom. And really, they've chosen to invest in it. So we've had very tangible evidence of families that have come and said, you know what? You guys have a first-class baseball field, but it really needs a lot of work. And I really love that. And we've had a parent that came forward and said, I want to invest in that. And I want to put some money for that so that we can upgrade the infield and paint the wall and redo the warning track, and we'll write the check. But we want to ensure that that gets done. We had another family a couple of years ago and said, you know what? My son loves cross country. And we don't have a cross country course on this campus. Would it be okay if I invested in that for LCA and we built one of the first-class cross country courses on this campus? Absolutely. Let's get behind that. And we did. They held the state cross country meet at LCA last year because of that. We had a student recently, Andrew Davis, came to me and said, hey, I'm working on my Eagle Scout badge, and I really have to have a project to get done at LCA. Or I'd like to do a project at LCA. Well, is there something that you guys think you guys can use? And I said, what do you think about building a gazebo out on the children's playground and really provide a place for those parents and those young kids? When it gets hot, they have a place to sit in the shade. And he said, absolutely. He went out, he raised the money for it, he raised the support for it, and they were out building a gazebo. Now we have a first-class gazebo in their children's playground. As a matter of fact, I'm walking in tonight, I see a pickup truck with a bunch of wood on the back that's getting ready to put the seating in probably this weekend, I believe is what they've planned. So that'll be done, and that's been done because it was placed in somebody's heart, and they're investing into the school. And so we had another parent a couple of years ago, and they said, you know what? I really want to see LCA excel when it comes to academics. And I'm willing to put money into that. And so out of that discussion came the birth of STEM. And a STEM lab was created in our upper school program because this one parent said, I believe in what's going on here, and I want to invest in that. And so that's what happened as a result of that. You know, I had a parent come to me this past year, and you know, he's sitting on the front row, Matt Goodwin. I'm going to ask you to stand because I want people to put a face with a name, and here's why. Matt is a certified financial planner, so we kind of speak the same language. And so he came to me and he said, Doug, I was looking at this gold scholarship program, and it is amazing what can happen if we really get behind this program. Would it be okay if I kind of spearheaded that this year? I said, Matt, I'd love for you to spearhead that. So Matt took that on. As a result of Matt stepping into the program, this year we raised $189,000 in gold scholarship. So those are just a few examples of parents that just had something birthed in their heart that said, I want to make an impact, I want to make a difference.
So when people look around and see improvements going on, the automatic assumption shouldn't be, why is LCA doing that and they're not doing this?
Well, and to speak specifically to that, you know, why? They
Not
must
that that would ever happen,
well,
not that anybody would ever think that.
or something along the lines of, they must really love baseball and they don't love this other sport because they're always working on the baseball field. We have dads that want to invest in that. We're going to allow that to happen. I encourage all of our dads, moms, anybody to pour into the sport or program that they really feel strongly about.
So Matt and Doug will be here afterwards. If you are one of the families that gets to participate in the Gold Scholarship Program and you have questions or you're wondering what happens from here or what's going on next year, they will be here. They'd love to talk to you. And I think Matt would probably love to talk to anyone who would like to understand more about gold. He is definitely the one to talk to because I don't understand it at all.
And he will probably be willing to give his free certified financial planning services just to meet with you. See that?
Wow.
You get a benefit.
Aren't you excited that you came up in the front row? So speaking of STEM, which you mentioned, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, that was one of the big initiatives on last year's Vision Night schedule that would be launched this year and the things that would happen. So Amy, I'd love to hear from you about what's going on with STEM education in lower school. And then after that, Mark, if you just answer the same question for upper school. And Amy, I have a fourth grader, and STEM is pretty much rocking his world. Like he won some competition with a boat that didn't sink and boiled eggs and a deal with the thing, and I don't know. He was extremely accomplished in it. So STEM has been a huge thing for him. So I know you have lunch with students quite often. What are you hearing about that specifically?
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up. I've been eating with the 4th and 5th graders. I finished them, as far as eating with them in small groups, and I'm just starting the 3rd graders. And one of the questions I ask them is, what is the best thing about LCA? And one of the top answers has been STEM education, which I just love, to see that students are seeing value in that they're enjoying the problem-solving aspect, the critical thinking, and working in groups. And I am so thankful for Mrs. Hagee, who has really spearheaded it and run with that this year. She's done an amazing job helping our students get excited about that. I was in the STEM lab the other day, and I watched 3rd graders who were using gliders, and they needed their gliders to go 8 feet, but they had to add cargo to it. And there was no, add the cargo right here and right here. They had to determine where to add that cargo. I saw them test their plane and then retest their plane and just keep moving it around until they finally were able to get that glider to go 8 feet. In 4th grade, they studied collision. And with that, they had to protect their egg in that collision, their precious cargo. In 5th grade, they're going to be starting working with robots, and they're going to build a simple robot and program it, which I think is just amazing. It's so different than when I was in school in science. I am just so excited to be able to say that we are going to lengthen our cords with STEM next year. We are going to bring the 3rd through 5th graders into STEM more, and we're going to introduce the lab to 1st graders and 2nd graders. Mrs. Hagy will actually push down into the pre-K and to the kindergarten classrooms. And I love the fact that we can see students using that engineering design process in learning. I want to just take a moment just to say thank you. Thank you for your support with Fun Run, because I know that all of you have, helped us out with that, and that has helped us with endeavors like the STEM Lab. And we look forward. This building right here has 2 netbook carts, and those carts are filled with a class size of netbooks. And what we'd like to do with some of the Fun Run money this year is to buy new devices and to get the latest so that students have that exposure and they're constantly learning with that. It is our role in lower school to make sure that we are preparing our middle school students so that they're successful in our lower school students so they're successful in middle school.
Well, first of all, Amy, thank you, and thank all of our lower school staff for their preparation of our students in STEM. But that means then the email